Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome to those who haven't joined us. Brody, 8 o'clock, we're a bit early for you this morning. I don't want to put you on the spot, don't worry. But yeah, I tell you what, if I had to skip 8 this morning as well, I would have I would have done it myself, because weather's better. At least I see some blue skies in Cape Town at the moment. But this morning it was a bit stormy. Everybody, all good. Thanks for rejoining. I'm assuming that from what we have covered in the first section of chapter, Watlatu, welcome as well. Those who have been in the first session, it looks as if some of you have needed more time to reflect on your goals and objectives, and hopefully those who are not joining us at the moment are spending time on reflection and adjusting those goals that they've set themselves. That was the theme this morning for those who have not been able to attend the first session. The chapter is about self-management and time management. If you cannot manage yourself, it's going to be difficult to manage your workload. It's going to be difficult to manage. It's going to be difficult to manage your and balance all and juggle all the balls that's necessary for you to be successful, not just in your career but also in life in general. Because at the end of the day, people, a career is not what defines you, or should not be what defines you. But in sales specifically, the module that we are busy with, resetting our goals to fit in within, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Resetting our personal goals, continuously evaluating our personal goals, so it still fits in with the sales goals and targets that have been set by the company that we are employed by and that we are working for as a sales consultant. Anybody? I think the majority of the students who attended this morning's session are back online as well. Have anybody since this morning went back to what is often recalled, often used in a post-match interview by the man of the match or the captain, or especially the losing captain? We're going to go back to the drawing board. Any of you went back to the drawing board this morning, and maybe I think you had classes as well, so maybe it was not possible. But at least, has anybody thought about what we said earlier this morning about revisiting those things that's important to you, and ticking those boxes, and maybe adjusting our goals? Thanks. Keenan is back as well. Looks like almost a full house at the moment. I'll follow up with one or two students that I see that's missing. Anybody, anything you want to share? Anything that hit a chord this morning that you feel, okay, right? Yeah, maybe I should spend some time on a weekend on just reflecting on it. I know, Andre, sorry to put you on the spot, but you're in sales already. Is how much of what we have done at the moment are you experiencing in your job environment, and what sort of challenges are you currently experiencing, or how do you find, if you are prepared to share with us, the balance between what your company wants you to do, because that's going to pay the bills at the end of the day or at the end of the month, but and also your own personal goals?
That's a big answer. Eh?
It is. I tell you what, if I have to answer to that, I'll put it in a bottle. I'll market it, because I'll be rich.
I think it's extremely valuable. I think it's very relevant. Okay, you know, everything that we've covered, I think this morning, for me, one of my biggest things is to get that goal ready. You have to set that target. Otherwise, I mean, I'm saying this not from a position of that's the right thing to do. From the years of experience, that goal is probably the most important thing. It is to obey to the core of it. It's helping you get up in the morning. Yep. Does it make sense to you? Because if you have no goal, you go in and you are blind every day. You don't know what's going to happen. It makes you want to sleep in. When you have a target and an aim and you have numbers you've got to follow and you know exactly how many clients you need to find, which kind of clients you need to find, you have the proper knowledge of your products, you know, you want to get out of bed. I know this. I've done this before. In my younger years, you know, I had no clue what I was doing. Now, when there's a goal and there's a plan, and you know, it gives you direction, and that direction, I say again, it helps you to get out of bed. Getting out of bed it's not the physical thing that I'm talking about. It's about having a purpose. And if you have no goal, you have no direction. It really, you can't measure anything. There's no happiness. There's nothing. You have to have that goal. I mean, there were years where I really signed some big contracts, but they were just by chance. It was from, I must say, it was from hard work before, but then you know my time management is not very good, so it's not as good as it should be. If I was as good as my daughter, I would be a millionaire soon. But I'm still learning from you and even her. I mean, at 9 years old, to see how she manages her day. I mean, she was on holiday now. Her bag is packed for school already. The first day of holiday, she packed her bag for school. You know, that mindset of preparing yourself for success is incredible. And everything we cover here it really is. I worked for a CEO once, very, very wealthy guy, and he said constantly, what is your goal? What are you doing? What's your plan? And his, you know, where my week felt so long, his was so short, because he knew on Tuesday he's having a call with the CEO of this company. It was all planned out, and I can see why he's successful, because his whole day and his whole week and his whole month, he already has a plan for it. Anything that happens in between, he can manage, and he does it based on time management. Yeah. Very good time management. But when you have a goal and you have a plan, sorry, you always used to say to me, "What is your plan?" You know, and I can't tell you how important that goal, to set that goal is. All the tools you're teaching us about how to do a sales technique all fits into the goal. It fits in after that goal is set. It then sets it. All those things fit in. Yes, sir.
It's so valuable, everybody, to learn from people from different generations. Yes, I've crossed a couple of bridges, and so did Andre, and so have many of you. I think we're basically representing three different generations, but it's so valuable to evaluate the experiences and share the experiences that we've had, because that makes it more important to realize that the constants remain the same all through the different generations. Yeah. The people who have achieved success in the 30s, in the 60s, in the 90s, and currently all have the same recipe for success. They set a goal, they are prepared to almost die for that goal, they almost become obsessive with achieving that goal, and then and the average individual then sits back and just observe and say, okay, right, well done. But it takes a lot of discipline to do that. It's something that, and I know that it's a great example that you've given us about your daughter, and I think we also have to realize that once we shut that door of opportunity to learn from any generation, from our own children, from our family, from our elders, it's not just the elderly that's going to provide you with a life experience and share those stories that that have brought them to where they are, especially if they've been successful. But it's also important for us to engage in sharing valuable information about achieving goals and about managing time and what works for you, but because it doesn't necessarily work for another person. I know that one of the things that I've probably preached to so many people over so many years, related to time management, I often fail to do as well. But once you fail, if you have that system in place and you still have that not achieved that goal yet, it will get you up and going again, because that's just the way of life. That's just a circle of life. So without being too dramatic this morning, I think the important thing of this particular chapter, and that's why we find it almost in the in the first third of the course of the module, is that there's no point in just surviving. And if you don't have goals and objectives, you are just going to just get up every day, and some days not even get up, just in an attempt to survive, because you have to do it. Change that whole mindset.
That is the crux of it.
Yep.
Is you make a decision to live, or you just survive. And when you live, it's that goal. It's whatever. It can be, I want a TV by the end of this week, or you can make it tomorrow. I don't care what it is. I mean, you can make it in 1 year. But I'm telling you, that's what it's about. I've got a friend of mine that's quite a bit depressive. You know, like every time I talk to him, he's always complaining about everything. And I keep saying to him, dude, you have no plan. You don't know where you're going. And that's why he just survives, you know, and you can feel it in his emotions. He's just surviving. You set your goal for your life, and I'm telling you, you'll reach it. You will get. It's just, I've just seen it, Jaco. You know this, Jaco.
Very, very, very important point you raised there, and I think that again just emphasizes the importance of surrounding yourself with people from different walks of life, but especially in your business environment, that not necessarily are successful, but who are content, who are happy, and you can see every single day is just a joy for that person. Because people with that kind of positive mindset, it's going to rub off on you. Even if your problems are worse than everybody else's in the world, it's going to have a positive impact on you. And I think it's extremely important that we never forget that. Our sales goals are set by the company for us to be able to aim at something. What's the point? We've just finished the Olympic Games. Thankfully, I was actually glad that it did happen, although I was very anti-Olympic Games at during the run up to the start of the games, because I thought it was just not the right thing to do in the times that we're all experiencing, in the challenge that we're all experiencing globally. But it actually gave us hope again. And even more so, I was watching a small bit of live footage this morning in between our early morning class and now, where the Paralympic Games are on. People, I tell you what, if that doesn't get you going, why I often use sport as an example to contextualize things for us all, is that at the games, nobody just runs up in a javelin, for instance, and throws it. I said, "Oh, geez, that was nice. Oh, yes," and we give that person a reward based on the technique, or how enthusiastic they were, or how well they appeared. No, we measure that distance that javelin has traveled, and the person who's thrown it the furthest wins the gold medal. That must be, and that is why we have goals, so we can measure where we are. We can measure if we are still 5 centimeters short of the world record. we can measure ourselves against where the goals that we have set. Earlier this morning, we set those personal goals, make them realistic, make them achievable, but make them challenging, and let them fit into the goals that your business are going to set you, because we know sales are driven by reaching sales targets, but we cannot lose focus on the bigger picture, because then we won't be happy. If a goal doesn't make you happy, it's not the right goal. If a goal doesn't fulfill you, it's not the right goal. Right, write them down. I said this morning, I shared you, I shared the example with you of me taking that photograph from the newspaper and putting it on my mirror to keep me, to make me see it every morning, to realize this is why you're doing it. This is why I got up this morning. When I did my first Comrades Marathon, I have to tell you, that was never on my bucket list. I tell you what, that wasn't one of the things that during primary school and high school I said, you know what, one day I want to run the Comrades. Never. I tell you what, that was never the goal. I gained a lot of weight in a certain period of my life, between 25 and 30, and it was a sort of a health decision that I took, and I started first with 2 kilometers. I promise you. You can ask my friends who were sharing a house with me at that moment. Oh, you're back already? I said, what do you mean I'm back already? They say you're going for a run. Yeah, well, I'm a run that I'm capable of finishing and completing and getting back home safely. And eventually it turned out to a 2-year project where, because I started loving it, because I started seeing results, and that's the thing that makes you, that's what gives you that contentment and that fulfillment. The fact that your measurable goals are achieved, and once you achieve them, you set new goals, and you set the bar higher, you raise the bar all the time. I intended to start with a 1K, a 2K, a 5K, a 10K eventually, in an attempt to be healthier and to lose weight, and it turned out to be to tick another bucket list goal, and that is that I sort of along the way have identified for myself, and that's to complete the Comrades. I hated running. I actually still am not extremely fond of running, but I know that I have to do this if I wanted to achieve my goal. And that's the nice thing about everything. If you write it down, if you can visualize it, it helps you to achieve it, but it doesn't mean that it's always going to be easy. You have to put a plan of action in place. You have to act on it. You can't just, okay, right, that's a nice photograph on the mirror, and yeah, I hope that happens one day. Hope, people, we need hope, yes. But if you don't put it in action, it's going to just remain a hope. And if you want to achieve it, you unfortunately have to take action. And then, like the example I've used earlier, you've got to measure your progress. You've achieved to show, okay, right, no, sure, I've just finished my first 10K. Fantastic, right? I've entered my first half marathon. And then you become, and that's human nature, competitive, and you change your goals the whole time. Regularly, continuously measure your progress, because that's going to lead to success at the end of the day. Right. Excuse me. Time management. Woohoo! Yeah. Now here comes the great challenge. How do we manage our time? None of us, regardless of what we say, regardless of what we think we do, we are not good at time management, and I include myself with that. I'm not a procrastinator. In other words, I don't postpone things the whole time. Oh, yeah, I'll do that tomorrow morning, and eventually I never end up doing it. Or 2 days, 3 days later, I read, oh, shucks, I should have done that. And then you do it, and then you're under pressure, and then you don't do it well. Don't postpone. Do it immediately. Act on it immediately. That's going to help you with your time management. But I also know that we're all human beings, and we sometimes think, you know what, I just need a day to sit back and not. It's also okay. I read a book before I did my first Comrades that's the king of Comrades Marathon, Bruce Fordyce, wrote. And he said that it's okay that in your training you feel today I don't want to, then don't. Because on those days you are going to make mistakes. That's when you can pick up injuries because you shouldn't have been out on the road. And you know what? Actually, it's your body telling you, don't do it. We need to rest today. Active rest is equally important. And initially it didn't make sense to me because I was like, what are you talking about? I need the miles in my legs so I can actually complete the race and achieve my objective. And then later on, I realized, you know what? It's fine. It's okay. The world's not going to end. It's not going to be the end of our world if we actually do take a day off. Another friend of mine taught me that same lesson. Ex-South African cricket captain Hansie Cronje at one stage said to me while we were on tour. So we weren't on tour. It's one of our home games here in Cape Town against the West Indies, and I think it was Pakistan I think it was Pakistan, a triangular series. And he said to me one day when people were, he always initiated, let's go for a run, guys. At the end of the day, we can have 6 beers after the day. We've been in the field the whole day. I know everybody deserves a beer. Everybody probably needs a beer. So. But let's quickly go for a 5K run. And it became such a routine, such a habit. Initially, it was just 1 or 2 people, and eventually almost the entire team did it. And they did it voluntarily. It wasn't like something, but, okay, right, if the captain says we have to do this, or if we're not going to do this, we might not be selected again kind of scenario. There was no pressure on anybody. They eventually did it voluntarily. But he said to me a very important thing during those times. You are going to have bad days. On your bad days, just survive. If you're used to going for a 10K run every day, but today your body is just telling you, I can't even do 100 meters. Just go do the 100 meters. But then, on the days that you feel fantastic, don't stop at 10Ks. Do 15, do a bit more. And at that point, it was like, oh, wow. I mean, this is the national cricket captain saying this, and I couldn't contextualize it. And many years after that, I only started my running, sort of my own social running career. And I realized what he meant, because there were days that I just didn't want to get up, and you didn't want to do what you have to do. You still, your goals haven't disappeared. They are still the same. They're still there. But unfortunately, the body doesn't want to comply on that day, and it's fine. You're going to have days like that during your studies. You're going to have days like that in your career. That's those times that we just battle through, because it's natural. It's what it is. There's nothing wrong if we experience that. As I said earlier in the first session, as important as time, because it's valuable and it's limited, you have to honor the time of the client, of the potential customer as well. We are talking about managing your own time, but managing your own time also means that you have to respect the time of the customer that you're going to be working with, to determine what's the best time of day to contact that individual. What is the best time of day? What's the most productive time of day for you? And also, if you know your customers, what's the best time of day for them? Because you don't want to contact somebody that's in a rush, is going to just blow you off, or maybe he's just going to give you answers, or maybe he's going to say, okay, right, I'm just going to put another order in just to get rid of this guy because I don't really have the time now to engage. You don't want that to happen, because they're going to end up with products that they shouldn't have bought in the first place, and you are also not going to feel very fulfilled. So part of time management is to determine the time that you need to spend on profitable activities. There's a lot of us who are busy. I've seen people who are busy. I think, wow, I just want to, whatever he had for supper or for breakfast, or I want some of that, because it's like an Energizer bunny. That person never stops. It's on and off, and it's just, wow, I'm getting tired just watching that person. But at the end of the day, if you sit down and you actually write down what you actually achieved, very often those people haven't achieved much. When you're in sales, because time is so limited, because time is so valuable, you cannot waste time on things that's not going to be profitable for you. And that's part of time management, to determine which items are the important ones. That's why we've identified those 5 steps that you see on the screen, that we will individually address, and that is setting your goals, analyzing your goals, planning, practicing, and following up, because that's what's necessary to make time management efficient. Otherwise, you're just going to be doing a lot of activities. You're going to look busy, but it's not so meaningless, but it's not profitable, because you still have to show results at the end of the day. Otherwise, you won't be achieving your own personal goals, because you won't have a job, because you're not achieving your business goals, your sales targets. Let's look at all this in the individual steps. Right. First one being setting goals. I think we've been over this a lot of times this morning already. That's where everything starts, because that will prevent you from wasting time. You have to identify and control the activities and events that waste time, because those are the ones that you are going to limit. It doesn't mean that you cannot have a break. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying that, you know what, sometimes people waste a lot of time. There's always somebody in an office environment that probably often, because they've already achieved their goals for the day, they hang around and they want to chat and whatever. Well, you know what, without being rude to a person like that, if that is an interruption that's wasting time at that point, there's a nice way of addressing it and just telling, you know what, let's just chat a bit later. I'll pop in when I'm finished. Because you know that person will be available, because they've done the reason why they're roaming around and doing nothing is because they've actually achieved their goals that they've set for themselves. Their goals might be way lower than yours, and that's why they've achieved them already. So don't let them steal your time to achieve your goals. But set the goals, make sure that you're clear what you have to do to achieve them, and then put your plan in action on how to achieve it. Keep record of what you're doing. Very important. Very important to keep record of your time. Not too many people, as I said yesterday, still have diaries and use diaries to record these kind of activities. But we have all electronic devices and spreadsheets and stuff that's available to us to be able to do that. We need to find out, and that's part of your preparation. Remember, at the moment we're working with time management, and we've got specific steps in how to manage our time better. You have to determine what time of the day you are most productive. We know that there are some businesses, when a business, let's say for instance, let's take an example. Some businesses open from 9 to 5, some businesses open from 8 to 4 or 8 to 5. If a business opens at 8 o'clock, you don't want to phone them 5 past 8. Yeah, I know you want to achieve your goals as quickly as possible, but you actually don't want to phone them that time of morning. They're not ready yet. They're not prepared yet. They have not settled into the day. Maybe the person is still having his first cup of coffee and easing into the day. Honor that and respect that, because look at yourself. Maybe you're also not the sharpest tool first thing in the morning. Then on the other hand, if you've identified the type of customers that you're working with and have profiled all of them, you will know who you can phone 8 o'clock in the morning, because that person has been up since 4, he's already gone to the gym, came back, prepared breakfast for the family, dropped his kids off at school, and is actually at work already. that type of person has already finished almost what half of what most people do in an entire day. So those kind of people you can contact that time in the morning. They actually are looking for those or expecting those kind of calls because that's their nature. But most people, most businesses take sort of that first half an hour after they've opened. Can you imagine? I mean, what are your response going to be? I'd like some feedback from you. If you bought a product from a company and it didn't satisfy your needs, maybe the item didn't work. You can pick any item for that matter. I know that your problem seems to be the only problem in the world at that point. For you, it is. And you want to phone that company when they open their doors. You want to, or you actually are going to that shop, and when they open their doors, you're already in there. What sort of mood is it going to set for you as the person dealing with that complaining customer, if that sets the tone for the day? If the first person that speaks to you in the morning at work is dealing with a complaint of a customer, how positive are you going to be for the rest of the day? I tell you what, if my day starts like that, the rest of the day it's going to be very challenging to improve. So also remember that when you deal with customers, that you have to find out what time of day is most productive for them. I've maybe shared an example with you previously with a company that phoned me and kept on phoning me, and later on eventually and I did get the messages, my secretary did give me the messages, and I did attempt to reply, and immediately when I finally got hold of them, or they finally got hold of me, this lady was so aggressive and attacking. So you're a difficult person to get hold of. I mean, I've left so many messages. Whoa, hang on. What's the issue here? We are talking as we at the moment. So forget about what happened. What's your purpose of the call? I mean, if you're going to just come out of the and immediately attack and defend and say, you know what, the immediate reaction is I'm going to be very defensive, and I'm going to say, you know what, if it's such a big issue for you, then you know what, no, maybe not. I can recall that I said to that lady that maybe, you need to also do a bit of more research on your customers before you phone them. If you know what business the people are in and what their operations are on a daily basis, you'll have a better understanding of what they're doing from 8 to 5 or from whatever their business hours are. Then you'll know that it's very difficult to get the manager or the CEO at a certain time because that's what he's busy doing at that point. So, have you ever asked when you phoned me, when you have phoned my office and the receptionist or the assistant, whoever you spoke to, have you ever asked them a question as to what does this person's day look like and what is the best time to contact them? Because if you haven't and just left a message, you know what? You've also contributed to this scenario. So, what you have to do as salespeople is that you have to obviously record what time is best and capture that information and update that information of what time is most productive time in a day for you, as well as the potential customers that you are contacting. Excuse me, my apology. Joseph Trickett did a study. He analyzed a few aspects in the 60s and came up with 5 activities that require analysis. And that's the 5 that we're going to quickly browse through and finish to finish today. We have to make a list of the activities that are part of the selling job. What must you do? That cannot be left out. It's part of your job. Handling paperwork, planning your routes, contacting customers, checking if the orders were executed. Things that you have to do, that's part of the selling job. Secondly, there are 2 activities that analyze your communication. the names, contact details of people that you must talk to every day. That's the 20% that gives you 80% turnover. People that you must talk to frequently. People that you must talk to regularly, and people that you must talk to infrequently. Those are, in other words, categorize your and grade your customers. The ones that needs the most attention are the ones that you are going to almost on a daily basis get in contact with. It's over exaggeration, but I think you are you understand the concept. Thirdly, analyze the activities that's of interest, intrinsic importance. In other words, it's something that must be done. You have to categorize those intrinsic activities that must be done, that should be done, that's useful to do, and then also what's unimportant. Is it really important for you to have a cup of coffee? Is it a must do? Is it a should do? Or if is it useful to have it because it gives you caffeine and you can actually concentrate better? That determines from one salesperson to the other, but it is an activity that you have to list. Activities of urgency. Categorize again. What is urgent to do? If you don't do this now, it's going to really create a lot of problems. What is not so urgent, but must be done very soon, otherwise it can become very urgent. What is not urgent, you have to still do that. You can't completely ignore that, but you can do it any time later in the day. What is not a time factor? What is not so important that it has to be done and completed today? And the final one, activities that you can delegate. What must you do yourself? Nobody else can do that because nobody else can help you. You have to still do that, if you like it or not, but that's something that you must do. And then, which activities can you actually delegate to other people? You still have to check up and see if they do it, but it's not that crucial that you specifically are the only one that can do that. And before we finish for the day, let's just finish off with a differentiation between what passive time is and what active time is. Passive time is the time that you, as a salesperson, spend on yourself. That's traveling time, time that you're waiting at the customer because he's still busy with his previous meeting, or you might be early for the meeting. So that's passive time. Active time is the time that the salesperson spends on the interaction with the client. That's the time that you actually have spent for the phone call to make the appointment. That's the time that the appointment starts and you are busy engaging in that conversation with that person or that presentation until it finishes. That's the time that you spend when you're closing the sale, and that's the time that you spend when you eventually do follow-up. All of those times locked together will give you an idea, if you record it properly, how much time you usually spend on a particular sales transaction. It's important to log that because if you duplicate the successful ones, you are going to become more successful. People, I think we've done enough for one day. I think we've done enough for 1 week. I think you have done really well. Thank you very much, everybody. Any questions that anybody has, apart from what the lotto numbers are? I don't know what the Powerball numbers are for tonight. I have a lot of wisdom, but I don't have that kind of psychic abilities. But with most other things, I can help you. I can actually send you to the right people if I don't know. Any questions, anybody at this point? Are we all good? All made plans for the weekend, or are you just going to chill? Or Lacta says everything's fine. Good. Promise wax out for those who are into football. We'll talk a bit later about what the Champions League draw looks like. I can't say I'm entirely excited about the groups that my team Liverpool find themselves in, but then we could have ended up with PSG like Man City did. And then for those of us who are into sport, enjoy your sport, even if you're just watching on a weekend. I'll be watching a bit of Paralympics. I think there's some good golf on as well. And then tomorrow evening, obviously, Liverpool's playing Chelsea. And after that game, there will only be 4 teams remaining who have full points after 3 rounds. Everybody, enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Make good decisions. And we'll chat again right about lunchtime on Monday. I think right about 1:20 on Monday for the 8th period. Okay. Keep well. And thanks for the week.